Okay, do you think that Halloween is getting more towards the satanic side in society, or more toward the not that anymore in America?
Huh. That's a good question. I don't know. I tend to think it's. I think I'll put it this way. Okay, so I'm the kid of the '80s, right? So I'm growing up in the '80s as a child. Like, I feel like for me as a child growing up in the '80s, it was very commercial, like very you and people were making like, handmade costumes and stuff, and you're dressing up like Big Bird or G.I. Joe or whatever, and you're hopping in the back like we did. Like, you couldn't do this today, but you like hop in the back of pickup trucks and drive around the subdivision, and you're trick or treating and all that kind of stuff, and you knew most of your neighbors, and I don't know, it was, and again, maybe that was just, maybe that was just South Georgia, maybe that was just a different environment I was growing up in, but there at that time and place, it didn't feel anything like overly spiritual. It just was just like, we're just going to have some fun, eat some candy, and so I think like that was cool. I do think now that there really is a rise in just spirituality in general.
Okay.
And so where you've got people that are more spiritual, and so because of that, they enter into these kind of spaces of I think there could be more of a like a dark kind of spiritual component to Halloween. I think that can be true. I also think that people go overboard with this kind of stuff now too. Like, in other words,
what do you mean?
In other words, like how much we're going to, invest into making our house look so scary, and, all that kind of stuff. And, all the money we're going to throw into kids' costumes. And I mean, and again, that's part of the commercialized part, but it also tends to be darker, in that environment, and so I don't know. I think it's kind of hard for me because I think the environments that I'm exposed to are different as well. Again, growing up in rural South Georgia is a little different than now being in a community that is metro Atlanta and becoming more and more urbanized, So I think those are kind of two different environments to some degree, but I don't know if it's moving more pagan. I will say this, I do feel like conversations are being had more with people going, should we celebrate Halloween?
Okay.
I feel like that question is being asked, at least of me now as a pastor, more than it's probably ever been asked.
Why do you think that is?
I think it's because of the rise of the spiritual dark side of things, where maybe people feel like, hey, as a Christian, should I really be participating in this? Like, in other words, I'm following the Lord faithfully now. Should I really be in an environment where people are dressed up like demons and or dressed up like Satan himself, should we be in those kind of parties and those kind of environments where even they have activities and stuff, that are really kind of dark and creepy kind of stuff, even for the kids. So I think maybe both sides are happening a little bit, where there's like this spiritual like discernment part among people going, I don't know if I should engage in this stuff anymore. And I don't know how to handle that with my kid. What do you think? I feel like that question is being asked a lot more of my wife and I now than it's ever been asked.
Okay.
So
you think Halloween as a whole is a dark, demonic, satanic thing and not a Catholic good thing?
Okay, here's part of the problem with that for us in our particular area. Okay. It's not like we have it's not like we're surrounded by all of these Catholics that are, that have this view of it.
Okay.
Of Halloween this way. Okay. So for us, and mostly in a Protestant environment, where Halloween before had just been kind of nonchalant. Yeah, we do Halloween. We dress up like witches. We dress up like, like whatever. And we just go. And now I feel like it's more like, no, I don't know if we want to do that anymore. I don't know. And so it really is not a choice between the pagan roots, the Catholic roots, and kind of the Protestant perspective of the commercialized Halloween now. It's more like, man, this kind of just seems more dark than maybe we thought it was, or it's become more dark.
Okay.
So we just don't have a part of it. And I think that's their only perspective of it. Like, if I went into my church now and I talked about All Hallows Eve, they would be like, what are you talking about? Right?
Yeah.
Like, because that's not part of our tradition. Okay. And so if I talked about, All Saints Day or All Souls Day, that's not part of our tradition.
Okay.
They would have no idea what I was talking about. So for me to try to,
well, that's why you're there, to teach them.
I know, and we have had conversations about this, but it's not like I'm making a massive big point in all of it, and because there is, because the idea again with All Saints Day and with All Souls Day, they're not even things I really want to sign on to. As a Christian. And so so
you don't like any of the roots of it at all.
And so well, obviously I reject the pagan roots.
Yeah.
Right. The Catholic roots to me seem disconnected from my view and my walk as a Christian. I'm not saying it's wrong. I'm just saying it's disconnected from my own tradition. So I don't have that tradition to connect to.
Okay.
And so when I'm thinking about, like the All Saints Day and like the idea of like, kind of, honoring the saints and that kind of stuff, that's not really on the forefront of my mind.
So what if in the future the Catholics take over the Halloween narrative and it becomes their thing?
Cool.
Would you have a problem with people participating in that?
Not especially because it's going to look like going to church. It's going to look like, prayer vigils and stuff. And I guess I would shift it from praying for the dead to praying for the living.
Okay.
Honestly.
Well, that's different.
Yeah. And so that's what I would do, right? Like,
what's wrong with praying for the dead? I don't feel like I asked you that question last time.
Yeah.
Oh, yes, I did.
Yeah, you did.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean,
so there's no point.
There's no. Yeah. I mean, like individuals who've passed away are either in heaven or they're in hell. Right. Yeah. Again, that's my understanding. An individual who's Catholic is very much going to disagree with that, right? So that's why there's All Souls Day on November 2nd, and they're praying for those that are in purgatory, right? Like, and then you have the tradition that kind of goes back and feeds into the whole idea of going around and the trick-or-treating and then praying for those that are in purgatory. And so like that doesn't resonate with me either.
Okay.
And so like, am I against individuals that practice Catholicism and are doing those things? No, like, of course not. Like, I'm not telling them that they're doing something bad, awful, wrong, or anything like that. It's just, I couldn't sign off on it myself as a pastor, like for our church to do those kind of things, right? And so that wouldn't do much for me.
Okay.
Again, there's one thing to like honor the saints, or to like, hey, we're gonna have a day of like remembering the saints. Like, like here's like, because I think actually for Protestants, one thing they could do is have more opportunities to learn about the saints of old. You talk to a Catholic, and they're going to talk about Athanasius and Ignatius and the Gregories and St. Augustine and St. Basil and da-da-da. And we're all going to sit there as Protestants and go, who are you talking about?
Right.
And that's a shame on us, actually.
Okay.
Like, we actually should know who these early patristic church fathers were.
Early what?
So these early church fathers. I'll just
early what church fathers?
Patristic.
What is that?
So just...
patriarchy?
Kind of that's what we're going. No, it's just the idea of that they were, fathers in the faith. Okay. And so I'm not going to look back so I think for me as an individual who is well read on the early church, then therefore, like, I know who these saints are. I admire them. And so I do think for the Protestant church, that actually could be something that you could actually glean from the Catholics. But I'm not going to pray to the saints, or, right. I'm not going to do that. And I'm definitely not going to pray for people who are in purgatory, because I don't believe there is a purgatory, much less people in it. So,
that.
So that's where we're going to divide. But again, so for me, the roots of paganism, Catholicism, neither do much for me. I think really we're dealing largely with a secularized, commercialized holiday or
Okay.
event. And then you've got those areas where it is really dark and satanic. I do think that's there. I think it's really there. And so, so to be honest with you, none of it does a whole lot for me.
Nothing appeals to Joseph.
No, so that's why we're going to have a family movie night and just watch King Kong or something, So, I mean, that's just what we're going to do.
Cool.
Yeah.